Content creation guide for business owners, the first 3 steps. We accepted the idea that initially we're gonna suck, and we decided to embrace the suck. In our experience, we used every single opportunity to create content, let's say an episode, to learn and improve and get it a little bit better. We might be masters at running a business. We might be really good at selling. Every single opportunity that you get to be a podcast guest, that you get to be a podcast host, is an opportunity where you're getting warmer to that output. We think about very black and white. I pay for this team to create something, and this something is gonna be the thing that is gonna create a ton of revenue for me. I think there's a wrong way to think about it. How we need to think about it is, hey guys, and welcome back to Content is Profit. Today, I have a special episode for you, a little bit of a rant, a little bit of a lesson, a little bit of my feedback and my thoughts on one of my favorite creators. And, you know, he had this episode where he was not debunking, but he was kind of explaining how to be creative, I guess, in a sense. And it's really interesting because this week we've been very fortunate here in the studio that we've had a lot of people that are coming in, mostly business owners, right? And they're asking questions about why a podcast, how to start a podcast, how to start my platform, right? And we see this as not just the podcast, but as a platform with the podcast episode as a cornerstone for relationship building, and then your social content as a, you know, safety net for people when they find you, they go there and be like, oh, these guys, they know what they're talking about, right? All these things. But here's the funny part, you know, about 90% of people that ask to go and start the podcast, they might just be curious, right? But just a very small percentage, it's willing to actually continue and produce the podcast, let alone create a quote unquote successful podcast, right? Or successful platform or successful YouTube channel. And in the world that we live in, we see a lot of business owners, right? That they might be running the day-to-day operations. They might be a manager. They might, you know, handle creators. They might handle like builders. They might handle, you know, people working in their company. And they have a message. They have like this fire inside of them that they want to put out to the world. They want to help people out with like what they know, right? Or, you know, they have a product that is really good and it serves a specific audience, and they see the podcast and the social content as a way to promote that and hence to sell more of units of that. Here's the kicker, right? What we've seen across, you know, in the last 7 years has been that people, when we put a camera in front of them, some of them might have experienced talking in public or speaking in public or in front of a camera at some degree, but most people don't. And there's this transition between business owner and creator, right? Imagine there's like this line, right? On this side you have business owner, and then on the other side of the line, you have full-on creator. Picture Mr. Beast, right? Or like any YouTube creator that you might follow, or podcaster, right? So the people on the right-hand side, right, the creators might not have business experience, but they're really good at editing the video, are creating a storyline, you know, creating a hook and getting you into this. So what I'm going to share today is like 3 things, right, for the business owner that's on the other side, to kind of take into account as they start your publishing journey, right? Almost like a content creation guide for business owners, the first 3 steps. And this is almost like when I heard this creator talk about this, I'm like, man, like that has been on my head. I haven't been able to put it on a list, but every single conversation, this is the things that, you know, we mentioned that we have to be aware of and that we have to accept in order to become a successful creator down the road. So number 1 is learning how to try. Right. And it's funny because, you know, we might be masters of a skill. We might be masters at running a business. We might be really good at selling, but the skill of creating, the skill of storytelling might be a little bit different. You know, I go back to, you know, I was in the fitness industry for a long time. I managed a fitness studio with 15 people for a few years. We had about 1,000 members in the fitness studio. So I was pretty okay talking to people and, you know, explaining our packages and explaining the benefits and bonding with them and created relationships. But the first time I had a camera in front of me, it was really challenging for me to construct a full thought or something that made sense for, the products that we were selling. And it took some time. And then when we started the podcast, similar thing, we had to, the first few episodes, we had to restart the camera like 30 times because we were losing our train of thoughts, or we were worried about, the battery and like all these elements. And it was just very confusing. So in our experience, we used every single opportunity to create content, let's say an episode, to learn and improve. I get it a little bit better. For context, if you want to go to YouTube and go to our very first or second episode, you'll see like it's recorded from an iPhone. Right now I'm recording from a camera number 1, and then we have a camera number 2, and then we have the audio equipment, and there's a light here, and there's a monitor, and it's like all nice and fancy and looks amazing. But it took some time to get there. Also, we didn't know about equipment. We didn't know what to use. And maybe sometimes I don't even know what to use sometimes, but the idea is we accepted the idea that initially we're going to suck, right? And we decided to embrace the suck and continue and move forward. And we established that we're going to do 3 episodes a week to speed up the learning process. And, right now we're very lucky that we have a podcast with more than 500 something episodes. That some people enjoy, some people don't enjoy, which is totally okay. But more importantly, that we enjoy. We turned that suck initially into something that we love and adore, and is a platform that has opened many, many doors for us, not only in our business, but also in our personal life. Number one mistake I think a lot of people do when they started to publish is comparing themselves to a creator that might be out there for the longest time, right? And this goes in every single platform, right? We see something that inspires us. We see somebody saying something or doing something or taking pictures of something that inspires us, and we're like, we want to do that. But sometimes we mistake or we forget that there's a lot of practice or big resources behind some kind of content like that. And then when we tackle to do it, when we tackle it and we try to do it ourselves, or we have a small team that maybe have no experience, or we start this project, we expect it to be at that level. And initially, it's something that we have to do which is embrace the suck, learning how to try. All right. Step number 2 or item number 2, passion is not found, it's cultivated, right? So it's like, okay, I'm passionate about this project. I want to do the thing. So let's say, for example, our soccer podcast, we're passionate about soccer. We want to do the thing. And then you start doing the thing, but then there's other elements, inside of the 6 levers that we do on the, what do I say? How do I research this thing? Or how do I create it? Is it like in studio? Is it in the stadiums? Is it like on the road? Like, how are we creating this thing to the production? We have to edit these videos, right? And then it's like, we have to distribute these videos. And then how do we connect it to revenue? How do we actually make money out of this publishing platform? And then how do we manage all of this, right? And it's really hard to find some kind of passion when we start kind of segmenting the tasks or segmenting like what we have to do in order to bring this project forward, right? So yeah, we're passionate about the soccer. We're passionate about watching it. We're passionate about talking, but maybe inside of those 6 levers that I just mentioned, maybe there's some things that we're not very passionate about. So how do we cultivate that passion so we don't stop, right, doing it? And it's identifying those steps inside of your content production process so you are able to even delegate it or subcontract it to somebody else or build a relationship that can help you with it. And then start plugging in those holes of the things that you might not like to do too much. For example, number 1 for a lot of people is the editing. So, shameless plug, if you have a podcast or you have a content that you want it produced, let us know. We're specialized in not only podcasts, but fractional content teams, and we can definitely help you. If it's not us that do it, we can help you optimize the system so then you can give it to your virtual assistant or your editor and go from there. But how do you actually do that? It's like finding those moments that you might not really enjoy if you're doing it yourself, or maybe the team doesn't have the skills, and plugging in people with the skills to do it so you can focus on what you love. Maybe talking in front of a camera is not your forte, but because you guys, maybe you have the goal of the company that content needs to go out, there's different ways that we can do that. So I have an example just this morning. I was on a call, and one of the people in the call, they have a horse business, right? They train horses. They have this incredible app, and they're starting to create content. But he doesn't want to be. He's the CEO. He doesn't want to be the face of the company. He doesn't want to be in front of a camera, right? And so what we did is we just brainstorm a bunch of ideas on how we can showcase the training that they do with different equipment, and maybe it's a voiceover, maybe somebody else, a talent in their team that wants to be on camera. And there's ways to be consistent and frequent and all these things, and push the content forward without you being the face of it. So as you start, segmenting or like uncovering all these steps and identifying, I really enjoy how to do this, or I don't enjoy how to do this, you will know what to give your team or hire for. And then that way you can cultivate the passion of inside of the content creation process, right? So create by willing to suck for a long period of time. So that's another thing, embrace the suck. We talked about it earlier. This is part of the same thing, is you understand that it's going to suck, but guess what? It's going to suck in your eyes. There's going to be people out there your message, quality of the message over quality of the production, it's going to be so important, and you're going to be helping them even though your content sucks. So I highly recommend put your message out there. There's going to be people that are going to be super useful. I still remember when we put, I think it's like episode 5, episode 6, which is solo episodes. Somebody on social media reached out and it's like, hey guys, but the fact that you guys are documenting this and I saw your latest episode and you guys are just laughing about the mistakes that you were making. It just inspired me to put my message out. And to us, man, that meant the world, because it meant that we saw the impact that episode did, even though it sucked in our eyes. And it helped them move the needle forward. So it gave us a whole bunch of energy to continue. All right. The last thing, the third point is sometimes we think about the situation. It's like, okay, hey, I pay this whole team, or I'm renting this studio, and I go in and this is it. This is the vehicle. This is the piece of content. This is the structure that's going to either make it or break it, right? And we think about very linear, very black and white. Hey, I pay for this service, or I pay for this subcontractor, or I pay for this team to create something, and this something is gonna be the thing that is gonna create a ton of revenue for me, for example, right? And I think this is the wrong way to think about it. I think how we need to think about it is almost like a sport, right? If you play soccer or football or baseball or whatever for the first time, or bowling or table tennis or whatever it is, you are not born knowing that sport. You're going to suck, right? You got to put in the reps. And sometimes, raise your hand, or, tell me in the comments if you thought about this. If maybe you thought that you wanted to play a sport and you really loved it because you loved how to watch, and you're like, I'm going to learn this, right? And then you're like, you tried it once, you tried it 2 times, you tried it 3 times. You're like, I don't really enjoy to practice. I enjoy to watch it, but I don't enjoy to practice. Then you move and you do something else. And then your goal is to be active by playing a sport. And then you get closer to another sport. So you're getting warmer to that solution. Same with content, right? Maybe you tried YouTube. Maybe YouTube is not your vehicle, right? Maybe you tried, social media content, user-generated content. Maybe that's not the way, but you still need to use content to put your message out there, and you're getting warmer to the vehicle that you're going to do it. As you put in the reps, you're going to get warmer to getting to the best creator that you can be. So think about the situation. Think about getting warm rather than that this is it, the vehicle that it is. So every single opportunity that you get to put your message in front of a camera, every single opportunity that you get to be a podcast guest, that you get to be a podcast host, is an opportunity where you're getting warmer to that output, or getting warmer to that result that you really want, right? Sometimes, you find out that that's not the vehicle that you need to be. We've had a lot of people that we've helped that we thought, podcasting might have been the vehicle, but they don't enjoy the process. They don't enjoy creating. They don't enjoy recording in front of a camera. Perfect. That's totally okay. We're just getting warmer to the solution that they need, right? So just a quick recap. Number 1, learning how to try, right? Number 2, passion is not found, is cultivated. And number 3, thinking about getting warm rather than this is the thing. So a little bit of a rant. I see a lot of these elements coming through, and once you uncover that box of content creation, there's a lot of things kind of flooding in into us that, elements that we cannot control, new things, new skills that we have to develop, and it's a process that we need to embrace if we are really committed to our message and we really want to make a difference. So I highly encourage you to start trying things out. If you have, let me know, what are you trying? Are you trying social media? Are you trying YouTube? Are you trying podcasting? What have you tried? What are you enjoying? What are you not enjoying? I would love to hear your feedback on social media at the Biz Bros Co. You can send us a DM there. You can put it in the comments right here on YouTube. And then you can go to bizbros.co to find out a little bit more of what we do. There at the bottom right, there's a little contact us button. Put in there, hey Luis, I heard the episode and this is what I'm doing. So with that said, guys, thank you so much for tuning into the show, and we'll see you around. Take care.